My name's Ryan, 32, and until 6 weeks ago, I thought I had life figured out. Career going steady, apartment downtown that actually felt like home, and a fiancé I thought I'd grow old with, Lily, 29. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 1. Wedding plans had just started to take shape, guest lists, caterer estimates, venue visits. The whole beautiful, stressful circus that's supposed to lead to forever. Except, forever decided to take a detour. It started subtle. Lily had been off for a few weeks, distracted, snappish, buried in her phone one moment, and weirdly affectionate the next. I chalked it up to pre-wedding stress. Everyone says brides go through it. A storm of nerves, pressure from family, Pinterest boards turning into nightmares. I figure it was normal. I didn't want to be the overreacting fiancé. That Friday night, we were supposed to grab dinner and finalize some venue choices for Saturday morning. I came home early, wine in hand, feeling good. Lily was sitting on the couch, hands twisted in her lap, like she was physically holding herself together. My stomach sank. "Ryan," she started, her voice quiet, careful. "I think I need a break." It felt like my chest hollowed out. "A break," I repeated, trying to keep my tone steady. "From what? Work?" "The wedding planning." Her eyes darted up, guilt flashing just long enough for me to notice before she masked it. "From everything. Work, planning, pressure. Us. I just need space. To clear my head." That word, space, is one of those words that sound polite, but hit like a slap. Space means distance. Space means you're not sure anymore. I tried to play it cool, even though my heartbeat was hammering. "Okay, space. How long are we talking?" "Just a few weeks," she said quickly. "No contact. I think it's important I'm alone with my thoughts. I'll stay at Laura's. I just need to think." "No contact," I repeated, tasting the phrase like poison. "All right, if that's what you need." She looked relieved I didn't fight it. That stung even more. She kissed my cheek, packed a small bag, and left. Just like that, after 4 years, I was standing in our living room with the faint smell of her perfume and silence, so loud it hurt. The first week was hell. Every hour dragged. I respected her no-contact rule like a saint because I didn't want to be that guy, the desperate, clingy one blowing up her phone. I told myself she'd come back clearer, maybe more certain. I replayed everything. The arguments, the good days, the ring on her finger that used to mean something. I wondered where I'd gone wrong. Then, about 10 days into her break, I was scrolling Instagram out of boredom. Lily isn't much of a poster, but her sister Laura, chronic oversharer. And there it was. Her story. Beach bar. Cocktails. Sunsets. And Lily laughing, glowing, a drink in hand, and her arm around someone I recognized instantly. Nate. Her ex. The one she'd sworn was ancient history. The caption read something dumb like, "Best vibes with the best people, palm trees, sparkles." My stomach dropped so hard I had to sit down. The space to clear her head was apparently a tropical vacation with Nate. The no contact was for me, so I wouldn't ruin her little reunion with inconvenient emotions like betrayal. At first, I saw red. I wanted to text her, call her, demand an explanation. But something colder slid into place instead, a quiet, razor-sharp calm. "Okay, Lily, you want no contact while you figure things out? Fine. You'll get exactly what you asked for. Our apartment lease? In my name. Always had been. The venue deposit? $2,000 from my savings. The caterer? $1,500 more, also mine. The fancy espresso machine she just had to have? $1,000 on my credit card. A joint engagement gift, she'd said. Sure. Guess who actually paid for it? Spoiler. Not her. I didn't yell, didn't send angry messages. I just started taking mental notes and making quiet moves. The apartment key she had? Easy problem to solve. The wedding? I made 2 quick calls, one to the venue, one to the caterer. Canceled both. Lost the deposits, yeah, but that felt like burning off a diseased limb to save a body. Then there was the ring. My grandmother's ring. Priceless sentimentally, worth enough that a pawn shop would drool over it. She still had it. That was going to come back to me, one way or another. I kept my silence. No texts, no calls, not even a passive-aggressive story post. I let her enjoy her break. Let her post sunsets and cocktails and act like I didn't exist. She wanted no contact? She got it. For weeks later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I had a hunch. Picked up. Hello, Ryan. The voice on the other end was bright, chirpy. Lily. Good news. The break is over. I've had time to think, and I'm ready to come home. Let's get back to us. The sheer audacity nearly made me laugh. I took a slow breath, steadying my tone. That's interesting, Lily, because while your break might be over, so is this relationship. Silence. Then a sputter. Wait, what? Ryan, what are you talking about? Don't be like that. The break had rules. The only rule I remember, I said evenly, was no contact. And you followed that, unless you count the time you broke it to post yourself on a beach with Nate. Laura's Instagram, remember? Looked like you had a great time. That was nothing, she stammered. Laura invited him. It wasn't like that. We just talked. You're blowing this totally out of proportion. The break was about us. I needed clarity. I almost pitted how fast she spun that web of excuses. Almost. You got clarity, I said, and now so do I. You made your choice. I canceled the venue and the caterer. What? The panic cracked through her voice. You canceled them without even talking to me? Ryan, we put down deposits. That was our money. Actually, it was my money, I said calmly. From my account. Both deposits. So yes, canceled. No wedding. She went from pleading to demanding in seconds. You can't just end an engagement like this. My stuff is still at the apartment. My clothes, my espresso machine. Ah, there it was. Your belongings are still here, I said. You can arrange a time to pick them up. Text me a day that works this week. I'll have them packed by the door. The espresso machine, however, stays. It's on my card. It's mine. Her voice jumped an octave. You can't just kick me out. We live together. The apartment's in my name, I said. You lived here with me. Not the same thing. And the ring. We'll talk about that when you come for your things. It's my grandmother's. I expect it back. You're being an absolute jerk. I needed that break. You didn't follow the rules. You were supposed to wait for me. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not out of amusement, but disbelief. You asked for no contact. You took a vacation with your ex. You want to talk about rules? The only one you followed was staying away from me. Text me when you want to pick up your stuff. Goodbye, Lily. And I hung up. My hands were shaking when I set the phone down. Not from fear, from adrenaline, from the sheer nerve of her thinking she could waltz back into my life like nothing happened. An hour later, I got a text. Not from Lily. From Laura. Ryan, she's devastated. You misunderstood everything. Nate was just around. She loves you. Please talk to her. Also, she needs her car keys. They're in her purse at your place. Ah, yes, the car. Her little white Fiat, a gift from her parents, parked in my building garage, a spot I paid extra for every month. I replied, Lily can get her keys with her other belongings. I'm not discussing this with you. Laura, she can text me herself. Then I blocked her number. The next morning, Lily texted, I need my things. Sunday, 2 p.m., and I still expect the espresso machine. I picked it out. It's as much mine as yours. Not a single word of apology. Just demands. Still delusional. Sunday was going to be fun. Before she arrived, I called a locksmith. Best $200 I've ever spent. The locks were changed Saturday morning. Just in case. I spent the rest of the day boxing up her stuff. Clothes, makeup, half-used shampoos, her ridiculous pile of decorative pillows, everything. Her car keys went right on top of the first box. Her precious espresso machine stayed exactly where it was, on my kitchen counter. And as I looked around that apartment, cleaner, quieter, I realized something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Sunday was coming, and so was the storm. Sunday came faster than I expected. The morning light spilled through my apartment windows, painting everything gold and quiet. It should have been peaceful, but there was this low hum of tension beneath it. I knew what was coming. I'd been rehearsing the scene in my head for days. Her arrival, her excuses, her anger. I wanted to be ready. No shouting, no drama. Just calm, controlled boundaries. She wanted space. I was about to give her a lifetime of it. By 1:45 p.m., everything was set. Her boxes were stacked neatly by the door, labeled, taped, organized. Her car keys were sitting on top. The espresso machine was still on my counter, untouched, almost gleaming under the afternoon light, like a quiet middle finger to entitlement. At 2 p.m. sharp, the knock came. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Not just Lily. Of course not. She brought backup, her sister Laura and their mother, Karen. 3 generations of judgment lined up on my doorstep like a tribunal. Lily looked rough. Puffy eyes, messy hair tied up in a careless bun, like she'd been crying but hadn't quite finished the performance. Laura was glaring at me like I'd kicked her puppy. Karen, mid-50s, had that tight, practiced smile, the kind that says I'm about to lecture you, but I'll pretend it's kindness. Ryan, Karen began, her tone dripping with condescension. Lily mentioned there's been a little misunderstanding. I'm sure we can talk it through like adults. I crossed my arms. There's no misunderstanding. Lily ended the engagement when she decided to take a romantic vacation with her ex during a no-contact break. Her things are packed. They're right there. I gestured toward the boxes. Karen's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. She just needed a breather. Everyone gets overwhelmed before a wedding. Yeah, I said dryly. Most people don't need a beach getaway with their ex to breathe. Lily's eyes snapped up to mine, angry and defensive. That wasn't what it looked like. Ryan, you don't know what actually happened. Oh, I don't, I said, leaning against the doorframe, because from where I'm standing, it looked like cocktail sunsets and your arm around Nate. Laura posted it all for the world to see. Laura opened her mouth, probably to defend her sister, but I cut her off with a raised hand. Save it, Laura. You knew exactly what you were doing when you posted that. I don't care if it was intentional or not. It showed me everything I needed to see. Karen sighed like a disappointed teacher. Ryan, this coldness isn't helping anyone. You too have history, love, a life built together. Surely that's worth a conversation. I almost laughed. We had history. What we have now is closure. Lily crossed her arms, tried to regain some control. So that's it? You're just throwing away everything? Because of a few Instagram photos. No, I said evenly. Because you lied. Because you treated our relationship like a backup plan. And because you thought you could press pause on my life while you test drove someone else. Her cheeks flushed with anger. You're twisting it. You didn't even follow the rules of the break. That made me bark out a laugh. The rules? The ones where I stay quiet, pay for your apartment, and wait around while you flirt with your ex? I followed the only rule you made clear, no contact. Everything else was your own fantasy. Her eyes darted to the boxes behind me. Where's the Breville? She asked, her voice sharp. I knew it was coming. I took a step back so she could see the counter behind me, right where it belongs. Her mouth dropped open. You said you'd pack all my stuff. That machine is mine. I picked it out. You picked it out. I corrected. I bought it on my card. So it stays? That's basically stealing. Laura snapped, stepping forward. Not stealing. I said calmly. Ownership. The kind backed by receipts. Karen stepped in again, her tone soft but manipulative. Ryan, sweetheart, don't you think that's petty? After all, it was a gift for both of you. Sure, I said, like the engagement ring was a gift, except that one's a family heirloom, and it's coming back to me today. Lily's face twisted. You're unbelievable. You're just... I'm done. I interrupted, voice firm. Lily, your belongings are right there. Take them and go. You have 1 hour. She stared at me, jaw tightening, nostrils flaring. You can't just treat me like some stranger. I lived here. And I let you, I said, but this apartment's in my name. You were a guest who decided to check out. So, yes, now you're a stranger. That's when she started crying, real or fake, I couldn't tell. Probably both. Karen rushed to her side, cooing and glaring at me at the same time. You've really changed, Ryan, she said. This isn't the man I thought my daughter was marrying. That's probably because you only ever saw the version paying your daughter's bills. I said quietly. The look she gave me could have curdled milk. Still, they started hauling boxes out. Laura muttered under her breath the whole time, and Lily kept making snide comments about how I packed her makeup wrong or forgot her jewelry. It was exhausting. At one point, Lily froze mid-box and said, "Wait, my grandmother's necklace. I think I left it in your dresser. I need to check." I stepped between her and the hallway. "No, you're not going into my bedroom." "It's mine," she shouted. "You could be hiding it. If it's not in the boxes, it's not here," I said flatly. "You had a month to take anything valuable when you left. Don't accuse me of theft because you're trying to stall." "I'm calling the cops," she snapped, pulling out her phone. "You're stealing my stuff." "Go ahead," I said. "Tell them your ex-fiancé won't let you rummage through his bedroom because you ghosted him for your ex. See how fast they rush over." She froze, glare sharp as glass, but her hand lowered. Karen looked tired now, reality sinking in that this wasn't going her way. "Girls," she sighed, "let's just go. He's clearly not going to be reasonable." That line almost made me smile. Not reasonable, because I refused to be played. They finished loading the last of the boxes. Lily lingered at the door, staring at me like she still couldn't believe I wasn't crumbling for her. "You're going to regret this," she hissed. "You'll end up alone. Nate actually understands me. He gets me." "Good," I said, meeting her gaze. "Maybe he'll buy you another espresso machine." Her jaw twitched. She grabbed the final box and turned on her heel. Laura followed, throwing me one last glare like she'd personally been dumped. Karen gave me that pitying look mothers reserve for men they think are lost causes. As the door clicked shut behind them, the apartment fell silent again. A silence so deep it was almost peaceful. For a long time, I just stood there, heart pounding, hands trembling slightly, not with fear but relief. Adrenaline, the kind that comes after a storm passes. I checked the counter. The Breville sat gleaming, untouched. My grandmother's ring was safely in its box in the drawer. The apartment felt lighter, airier, like it could breathe again now that she was gone. I poured myself a coffee. The first sip hit like victory. A couple of hours later, my phone buzzed. I almost didn't check, but curiosity won. A text, not from Lily, this time from her lawyer. Attached was a formal notice. Apparently, Lily was seeking compensation for emotional distress and shared assets, including the cost of the Breville espresso machine and the non-refundable wedding deposits totaling $3,500. I actually laughed out loud. The entitlement was unbelievable. She cheats. She ghosts me. She gets dumped. And I'm the one who owes her? Fine. She wanted war. I had no problem giving her a quiet, professional one. I forwarded the email to my attorney, a friend from college who owed me a favor. His reply came 10 minutes later. "This is going to be fun." And just like that, the next chapter of this ridiculous saga began. One where Lily was about to learn that actions, unlike espresso machines, come with no refund policy. The message from my lawyer, Mark, came in almost immediately after I'd sent him the email. Asterisk, "This is going to be fun." Asterisk, that's all he wrote. But it said everything I needed to hear. Mark had a way of turning chaos into entertainment, especially when someone tried to weaponize entitlement through legal jargon. We'd gone to college together, back when he was still the guy arguing over cafeteria meal plans like they were constitutional matters. Now he was a sharp, battle-tested attorney who genuinely enjoyed dismantling nonsense. He called a few minutes later. "All right, walk me through the circus," he said, voice calm but amused. I told him everything. The break, the vacation, the boxes, the coffee machine, and now the lawsuit. When I finished, there was a pause on the line. Then, "She's really suing you for emotional distress because you didn't want to marry her after she cheated?" "Apparently," I said, He let out a low whistle. You'd think people would be embarrassed to even write that down. Don't worry, this won't go anywhere. I'll respond formally and request her itemized claims. But if she pushes this, we can easily counter. Counter? Yep, Mark said, cheerful now. See, she's claiming shared assets and emotional distress, which means she's essentially admitting there was a relationship dispute, and that she was financially supported by you. If she opens that door, I'll walk right in with receipts showing you covered rent, utilities, and half her lifestyle. That turns her victim story into dependency. Judges love that twist. I smirked. You enjoy this too much. I really do, he said. Also, keep every message she sends. If she threatens or harasses you, it'll strengthen our case. I agreed, though I hoped it wouldn't come to that. But of course it did. Over the next few days, Lily's texts started pouring in. First, they were reasonable, long paragraphs about how we could resolve this amicably, sprinkled with words like misunderstanding and closure. Then they got emotional. Screenshots of old conversations. Voice notes about how she still cared. I ignored every single one. Then the tone changed. Threats. If you think this is over, you're wrong. You ruined my reputation. Everyone knows what kind of person you are now. Classic projection. By the end of the week, Mark had filed a response rejecting her claims and requesting documentation of every expense she believed I owed. She had 14 days to respond. It was a waiting game. In the meantime, I went back to living like a normal person. Sort of. Work felt lighter, without constant drama. My apartment stayed clean for once. Even my sleep improved. Still, there were moments, like when I passed the wedding invitations sitting unopened in a drawer, when a dull ache hit. It wasn't love anymore, just grief for what I thought we'd had. Then one morning, I got a call from Mark that made me actually laugh out loud. She's representing herself now, he said, barely containing his amusement. What? Her lawyer dropped her. Probably realized she couldn't afford a retainer or didn't have a real case. She filed a self-written motion claiming you caused her emotional distress through abrupt termination of engagement and retention of mutual property. She even attached pictures of the espresso machine. I had to sit down. You're joking. I wish, Mark said, chuckling. She listed it under shared household equipment critical to emotional recovery. I'm framing that line. Jesus. Don't worry. I'll draft a clean, professional counter with receipts for everything you purchased. It'll make her claims look absurd. True to his word, within a week, he sent me a copy of our submission. It was beautiful. Every payment to vendors, every invoice for apartment rent, every expense tied to her, neatly itemized and credited to me. The cherry on top? A statement showing that the espresso machine had been bought on my personal card after she'd moved in. Mark added a note at the end. Asterisk. The respondent requests that the claimant cease contact and refrain from harassment via text or digital communication. Asterisk. It was polite legal language for stop texting him. You psycho. A few days later, Lily broke the silence again. This time, she sent a screenshot of a GoFundMe page. Title: Help me recover from a toxic relationship. She'd raised $87. Her description was full of half-truths, manipulation, financial control, gaslighting. I didn't recognize myself in her version of events, but I knew arguing would only feed her narrative. So I ignored it. Mark saw it too. You want me to add defamation to our counter? Nah, I said. Let her have her pity party. She'll dig her own hole. And she did. 2 weeks later, we had a short mediation session scheduled, mandatory for cases like this before they hit small claims court. I walked in expecting drama, and Lily did not disappoint. She was sitting there in a beige blazer that screamed performative professionalism, flipping through papers she clearly didn't understand. No mom, no sister this time. Just her, visibly nervous but still trying to look in control. The mediator, a middle-aged man with glasses, started calmly. We're here to explore possible resolution. Ms. Brooks, since you initiated, you may begin. Lily straightened up. I just want what's fair. Ryan and I were supposed to build a life together. I invested emotional energy, time, and effort. He suddenly broke off the engagement and refused to return mutual items. The mediator nodded. And by mutual items, you mean? She hesitated, flipping through her pages, the espresso machine, and some home decor. I couldn't help it. I laughed, quietly, but enough that she shot me a glare. The mediator turned to me. Mr. Hart, your response? I handed him a copy of the receipts. Everything she listed was purchased by me. She has her belongings. She has the engagement gifts I gave her. The ring, which is a family heirloom, was returned. There's nothing mutual left. The mediator looked over the documents, then glanced at Lily. These appear valid. Lily's face turned red. He's twisting everything. He's making me look crazy. The mediator sighed. Ms. Brooks, do you have any evidence contradicting these records? She didn't. Just silence. She fiddled with her papers, then muttered something about emotional damages. The mediator leaned back. This doesn't meet the threshold for damages. I'd advise dropping the claim. Her jaw clenched. So he gets away with it? I finally spoke, quietly but clearly. Lily, you didn't lose money. You lost access. That's not something a court can refund. She glared at me, eyes wet. You think you're so above me now? No, I said. I just stopped letting you stand on me. The mediator ended the session there. I walked out feeling lighter than I had in months. Mark called later that evening, laughing. She withdrew the case. No follow-up filings. You're in the clear. Finally, I said, exhaling. By the way, he added, her GoFundMe's gone too. I checked later. He was right. Deleted. Every trace of her public victim act wiped clean. It was over. Or at least, I thought it was, because about a week later, something unexpected happened. A message request on Instagram from Nate, the ex. His first line, hey man, I think we need to talk about Lily. I stared at it for a long time, coffee cooling in my hand. Part of me wanted to ignore it completely. The other part, the curious, wary part, wanted to see what kind of story he had to tell. I hit accept. What he sent next made everything make sense. The message from Nate was short, almost awkward. Asterisk, hey man, I think we need to talk about Lily. Asterisk, at first, I didn't reply. I just stared at it, trying to decide if this was bait or something real. The last thing I wanted was to get pulled back into the chaos I'd finally escaped. But curiosity has a funny way of undoing logic, and mine was clawing at me. After a few minutes, I typed back, asterisk, what about her? Asterisk. He replied, almost instantly, asterisk, she's been telling people we're engaged. Again, asterisk. I blinked. Again, I thought you two were done. I wrote, we are, he said, asterisk, or at least I thought we were. But she's been posting old pictures of us, tagging me, telling mutual friends we're working things out. My girlfriend saw it. It's become a nightmare. Asterisk. That last part caught my attention. His girlfriend. So Nate had moved on too, and now he was getting a taste of what I'd been through. She tried the same thing with me. I said, asterisk, told people we were just taking space while she was on vacation with you. Asterisk. He sent a laughing emoji, not a happy one. More like the hollow kind you use when you don't know what else to say. Guess she's running the same playbook, he wrote. We talked for almost an hour after that. Turns out, Lily had a habit, a pattern I'd only seen part of. When she wasn't getting enough attention from one guy, she'd rekindle something with another. She'd make each man feel like he was the main one, while keeping the others on emotional standby. Nate admitted she'd reached out to him before the break. She claimed we were drifting apart, told him she missed what they had. He believed her for a week. Then he realized she was sending him recycled messages, word for word the same ones she'd once used on him years before. I should have warned you, he said. I figured she'd moved on. I didn't realize she'd drag you through the same garbage. It's fine, I said. You can't warn someone in love. We only see what we want to. He went quiet for a second. Then she told me you hit her. I froze. What? She said you got violent when she tried to end things, he continued. That's why I messaged you. It didn't add up. I've never known you, but something about her story didn't sit right. I felt my jaw tighten. She's lying. I've never even raised my voice like that, let alone my hands. I figured, he said. She's been caught in too many lies lately. Thought you should know what she's spreading. That one hit me harder than I expected. Not because I believed she could hurt my reputation, but because it showed how far she was willing to go to rewrite the story. She wasn't content to play the victim. She needed a villain. Thanks for the heads up, I said finally. No problem, he replied. And hey, if she contacts you again, let me know. Maybe we can compare notes. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying every moment. The fights, the silence, the manipulation. I realized she'd been rewriting our story, even while we were still living it. Twisting things. Controlling the narrative. I wasn't a person to her. I was just a character she could blame when things fell apart. The next day, I sent Mark an update. The lie about violence, the Instagram posts. He called me 5 minutes later. Defamation, he said immediately. That's the line. If she spreads that, we go on offense. Can we prove it? Easily, he said, especially if Nate confirmed she said it to him. I didn't want to drag it out, though I was tired of her orbit. Let's wait, I told him. If she keeps it up, we'll act. If not, let's just move on. For once, that's exactly what happened. Silence. Weeks passed. No texts. No calls. No fake accounts. Her name stopped showing up on social media. Maybe she finally realized the attention wasn't helping her. Or maybe she'd moved on to someone else's life to star in. I found myself getting used to the quiet. I started running again. Rejoined the gym. Got drinks with coworkers instead of going straight home. My friend said I looked lighter, like someone had taken a weight off my chest I didn't even realize I was carrying. Then one random afternoon, I was at a cafe downtown, reading. The barista called out, "Ryan?" I walked up to the counter and froze. Lily was standing there. Different hair, darker, shorter. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but like the arrogance that once filled every inch of her had leaked out. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, she looked embarrassed. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," I answered, neutral. We stood there for a second. Just silence. Then she said, "I heard about the case. I shouldn't have done that." I nodded. "Yeah, you shouldn't have." She sighed. "I wasn't a good place." "I know," I said. "You just didn't have to drag me there with you." That hit her. Her lips trembled a bit, but she held herself together. "I'm trying to get better," she said quietly. "Therapy, new job. I'm actually paying my own rent now." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just said, "Good. I hope it works out." She nodded. "You were good to me, Ryan. Better than I deserved. I know you don't owe me anything, but I wanted to say sorry." It was strange hearing that. I'd imagined that moment 100 times, usually with anger or revenge involved. But now that it was real, it didn't feel triumphant. It just felt peaceful. "I accept your apology," I said, "and I hope you mean it." "I do," she whispered. We stood there another moment before the barista called her name. She grabbed her drink, gave me a small, uncertain smile, and walked out. No dramatic ending. No tears. Just quiet closure. Exactly what I needed. As she left, I noticed something. She was carrying a cheap drip coffee from the cafe. No fancy espresso, no imported beans. Just a plain cup. I smiled a little. Maybe symbolic. Maybe not. But it felt like life had finally evened out. When I got home, I made myself a cappuccino from the Breville, her precious machine that had started it all. I took a slow sip, the steam rising in the afternoon light, and laughed softly to myself. For the first time in months, the taste wasn't bitter. And with that, our story comes to an end. But the real story begins with your thoughts. What would you do if you were in this situation? Let me know in the comments.